Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be reviewing Halifax. Halifax, it's a modern reclining sofa with a reclining mechanism on the seat and on its back. Very flexible in its composition, very comfortable, astounding comfort. Let's dive in. First of all, we have a recliner mechanism on the backrest, and it's a very simple mechanism which allows to be stopped in different multiple positions, and then when you want to have it back, you simply push it forward and it easily goes back. Let's start by commenting its comfort. The seat is rather soft. Most of times when you have sliding seats, you have a rather firm seat. In this case, it's rather soft and it's rather bouncy as well. The backrest is similar in perception as to the seat, and we have the possibility of activating the mechanism with two buttons, and I will activate the mechanism. I can stop the mechanism at any moment, so I can stop it in a middle position, or I can have it go forward. Now you will see that the inside part here, which will give support to my ankles, does slide out, and at this point you see that also the position of my bottom starts sliding forward and the back starts going down, and this is the final position I will get to, which, well, of course, this is, I would say as a joke, more than enough, in the sense that it goes even to an extent. Then, as a user, I don't find it necessary, but the point is, this is very important. You stop it at the position of the whole mechanism where you find it comfortable. This is a way of customizing your experience. The Halifax reclining sofa does offer only an electrical mechanism. You don't have a manual version. When you build your composition, you get to choose whether you want the reclining mechanism on all seats or only on the seats that you desire it for. And you have accessories. For example, here we did put it on both seats. Of course, the chaise longue does not offer it. You have optionals for the mechanism also, because you can add a remote controller, and you would need to have a remote controller for each of the mechanisms. I'm not a supporter of the remote controller option, because if I imagine myself leaving the sofa, enjoying the sofa, well, I would have the remote controller for the television, possibly for other items, entertainment devices in the room. I would not want a remote controller lying around, but if you have an idea of how to use it or what would be the positive about it, write it in the comments. I would be glad to read and respond. Then you also have another optional, and this is especially important because, you know, here we are in the showroom, we are in the middle of the first floor, and so we don't have a wall behind us, and here we have actually a socket in the floor, but you might not have this situation in your room, and you might want to have to enjoy the benefits of an electrical reclining sofa. In that case, instead of having the electricity wire lying around and visible, you could use a battery. The remote controller works for every seat. When you purchase the optional battery, the battery does support two mechanisms, so you could have one battery for the two mechanisms, and the battery is a rechargeable battery, and it lasts for quite long. So every now and then, it depends on how often you use it. It might be every few weeks, every month, you plug it in, it does recharge your battery, and you are perfectly fine with no electricity and no plugs, no sockets lying around. And so in certain situations, this is a very good optional. So this very composition is 311 centimeters wide, and let's see how it is built. We have the armrest, and this is the B2 armrest, which is 25 centimeters. And about this Halifax collection, what is very interesting is that it does have 5 different armrests, which range from a dimension of 16 centimeters, the most compact, up to 26. Well, actually, the bigger one is adjustable between 26 and 33. Then you have the seats, which are 67, 77, or 87 centimeters, and these are the 87 centimeter seats, okay? And then you have the chaise longue in this case. In this case, the chaise longue is 87 centimeters plus the armrest. So when we look at a composition like this of a linear sofa, linear terminal element plus the chaise longue, we're actually looking at 3 independent units of 87 centimeters each plus the 2 armrests. This is especially important because when we look at the sofa, we perceive 3 identical backrests, and this is good in terms of look. I'd also like to point out certain features of the design of the Halifax sofa, because you know, with reclining sofa, most often you have multiple lines, the backrest is divided into multiple cushions, the lower part you have the structure and the cushion above it, and while with this model you don't have many lines, you don't see at all stitches, and this is very important because it's such a clean design. You see the armrest as well, you have a stitch, a diagonal stitch here, which is very discreet, I would say very minimal, and so, well, it is indeed bulky in the sense that it's quite deep, I will tell you more in a minute, and that you have this bulky seat in which the mechanism is actually hidden. At the same time, it's very minimal and very clean to be a reclining sofa. From here we can have a look at the feet. You see how angled they are 10 centimeters high, and they're available only in 2 finishes, which are black and champagne finish. Well, it's lacquered metal. It's a clean design also from the back. You can see how the pieces which don't have a mechanism inside have a single piece back here, while the ones with the mechanism have this cut here, okay? But still, it's very clean in general. And I'd like to point out how the tilting mechanism of the backrest is very clean as well, because you see here, most of times on most models, actually on models of our collection, very good models of our collections, you might perceive the mechanism here, and the metal part would be covered by a piece of fabric. In this case here, it's completely hidden. Well, of course, if you get very near, you can perceive a couple of centimeters here, but in general, it's a very clever mechanism because it's completely hidden. So the Halifax sofa has generous dimensions in depth, because it starts with 107 centimeters depth and it goes up to 168. And you see how it works from this perspective. Well, of course, it does open on the front, and when it slides on the back, at this point here, you must consider a total of 8 centimeters. So it means that the overall depth is 168, and it also means that if you plan on placing the Halifax sofa against the wall, well, you cannot place it totally against the wall, otherwise you would hinder the complete opening of the mechanism. So it's gonna either be in the middle of the room or 8-10 centimeters, I would say, from the wall. So I will not bore you, as I'm used to do, with all the measurements available on the Halifax sofa. 5 armrests, you have the wealth of linear compositions, because you can either have 2 or 3 seats, and out of 67, 77, 87, so you have around 30 linear compositions available. Then you have terminals plus centrals plus chaise longues, 3 different widths of chaise longues. Then you have the meridienne elements, so you can build corner composition around on the Halifax sofa. And then you have the panoramic corner, which is especially interesting, and you can see a technical scheme of how it's built, because it's actually an open, rather compact corner. That's very interesting. Then in the end you have the ottoman, the poof. I do not really suggest to consider an ottoman together with such a sofa, unless you go for the fixed version, which is still a comfortable and nice sofa. I do not suggest ottomans with sliding seats, pull-out seats, or a reclining mechanism, because you know, you have such an important degree of customizing your experience by opening the mechanism, and if you had a poof in front, an ottoman in front, then you would have to move it around to actually open the mechanism. So this is not an element that I suggest to put in your projects, but still it is available. Here we see the Halifax sofa with the James fabric. James is a composite fabric with natural and synthetic fibers. It has interesting colors, 14 of them, and of course these colors actually do match different fibers. But the nice thing about the Halifax sofa is that you can have it with any material of our collection, so fabrics, faux leathers, velvets and leathers. And it's especially great made with leather, because it's manufactured with the best technical approach, in which you have big chunks, big pieces of leather being used for these big cushions, so you don't have unneeded stitches all around. So such a clean way of manufacturing leather sofas. So we've come to the end of today's product review about the Halifax sofa, modern sofa with reclining mechanism. I hope that you like it. I hope you can imagine yourself enjoying your legs up and you're relaxing your home. And see you next time.